Well, good Saturday morning to everyone, and welcome for another, I think, episode 4 now of ITHive's live Facebook live Saturday morning tech talk. So the last two sessions, I think episode 2, I talked about the $12 membership fee that we charge and what you get for that, and then in session 4, which was, or no, 3, which was last week, added on to that with the $5 fee that we charge for antivirus software. Now, of course, all our solutions are covered, and they all report back to us, so we know if they're working or not, and that's a key to everything we're doing. And we don't sell any products that don't have that feature, right? Because we want to know, we want to help our customers understand if they have an issue or not. So, and this leads us to offsite backup. So we've covered off the health of your system, with the membership fee. We've covered off the security of the system with the $5 antivirus software that reports back its health to us as well. Now, backing up your data. So in so many cases, I have been, unfortunately, involved with clients that haven't backed up their stuff. And, in the case of an ultimate disaster, your backups are your last line of defense, right? And for any, there's different forms of backup, and every client has different needs and different, budgets and all that stuff. But basically, this is what I suggest for my business clients, and it's all relative to the importance of the data, of course, right? So you don't even have to split it up business-wise or personal. It's really what it comes down to is how valuable, how important is that data. But in the perfect world, what you do is you have a local copy of your backup, and then you have an offsite copy of your backup as well, because the local copy will be quicker to restore stuff and also cheaper to save stuff, right? The offsite backup, of course, is your ultimate line of defense, because if anything happens, to your office building or home or whatever, you still have all that digital stuff that you've created, right? Family pictures, accounting files, all that stuff, right, is all safe in the cloud, and it can always be restored to another machine. I often tell clients that insurance companies will cover your losses, right? But they cannot recover your data, right? And if you're running a business and you haven't backed up your stuff, and then something happens, and then at that point you start valuing your data, I'm not saying that it's not possible to recover, right? But it will be expensive. I can guarantee you that. Data recovery businesses are not cheap. They have very highly specialized equipment, and which is also expensive, and it takes time. So that's where your costs come in. So if you value what you have on your computer, right, it's best to back it up. So like all the other solutions, I won't go into pricing, because what I have to do, my vendor bills me for the amount of space clients use, so I have to in turn adopt the same model. So in a nutshell, it starts at 10 gigs, which is a fair amount of space, right, for $8 a month, right? And then it goes up for, I think the next tier, 20 gigs is 15, and so on and so on, okay? But there's more than just backup here, because on a daily basis, as I review everything else and the health of all my other clients, one thing, of course, I look at is the health of everyone's backups. We've set this up so it's really easy to do, and we can see problem machines float up to the top, and we address those. Now, the reason for this is that a disaster can happen at any time. We never know when it's going to happen, what's going to happen. We don't know if an employee is going to click on a bad email and that link somehow manages to outsmart security and everything, and then boom, encrypt their hard drive, right? Ransomware attack is what I'm talking about. We never know if that's going to happen, right? We don't know if Mother Nature is going to unleash wrath on your business or your home or whatever. Never know, right? So when you are a customer of ours and you subscribe to our backup system, one of the things we're really very religious about is making sure that is always working for you, right? And typically how we get that set up is a very easy process. We do everything with remote assistance. So we would install the backup software on your machine. We would have an interview with you and determine what things on your computer are important and what things you want to save and make sure they're saved. And so we set up the software to do that. And then we go from there. And of course, in your monthly status report, like with everything else, right, it will report on the health of your backup. But if your backup's not working, I'm going to be calling you, right? Or someone will call you and say, hey, we have an issue here. We need to sort that out, right? So instead of waiting till we have, and I've seen this lots, and I can share a lot of stories. And I have 3, maybe I'll share here. The alternative, right, is, and I've seen cases where people have gone through the motions of doing backups, and then disaster strikes, and then they realize their backup didn't work. And then, of course, it's too late, right? So, a couple of scenarios I've got, and I think I've mentioned this maybe in episode 1. Not sure, but I'll go through them quickly anyway. I had a business long ago. Secretary was backing up the accounting files, and they had a hard drive crash, and so they were managing their backups on their own, and that was all being done as far as they were concerned. And so when they called me, this was back in the day where it didn't have an ongoing relationship with the client to the extent that we do with our clients now. So anyway, they called me with trouble, and I go and I say, okay, so you have backups, and the secretary gave me a CD that she had been backing stuff up onto. I'm not sure if it was a CD or a thumb drive. Anyway, so go and start the recovery process, and I look at the files that are on there, and all the files are the shortcuts to their accounting files. So they weren't backing up anything. The shortcuts are just a pointer to the actual files. So the actual files were never being protected, right? And of course, we were finding this out when we need them. So that was a bad scenario. I can't recall what the steps we did after that, but anyway, not a good scenario. Another example, and in this case, there was no disaster. I actually caught the problem and was able to rectify it for the client. Again, it was prior to ITHive.org, and I was working on a sports team's server that needed some help, and in that process, I did a little bit further digging just to make sure everything else was good. I knew they were backing up their stuff to tape, of all things. It was a few years ago, but tape, I don't know. I guess it has its place, but not extremely, not where I would go anyway with a client right now these days. Anyway, so again, what was happening, the head admins person was every night taking the tape out of the server, putting another one in, and then taking the tape home, and they would go through that process. That was their version of offsite backup. However, when I went and looked at their stuff, I quickly came to realize that whoever set up the server in the first place, it was another company before I got there, never bothered to set up the backup job. So those tapes were blank and I think they were doing this for like 2 years. Never once was anything ever backed up. And so we fixed that for them, but still, it's like, you don't want to, and in this case, I got to, there was no crisis, right? We just happened to find it, and then it was all fine. But still, could have been another scenario, right? And then the third case I have is, and that this mimics many examples of this, but I think this is probably the most heart-wrenching one. I had a residential client, again, before ITHive.org, and their hard drive had crashed on their computer, so computer wasn't working, all that stuff, and determined the drive had died. And when I looked at it, and we got to do data recovery, and I think the estimate to get it done was something like $500 or so, and they couldn't really afford to do that. And they had all of their pictures of their kids, digital images, videos, all that stuff was all lost, right? And so, that's pretty tough, right? I think you're far better off to spend, $8 a month and have the security and peace of mind that you're not going to lose anything, than, saying, I don't have to spend any money, I'll be okay, right? And then something happens, and then at that point, you're like, you might be in a situation where you're forced to spend money, and a lot more than, $8 a month, right? That's really, really important. So, to cap it all, just in summary, because I've covered now with episode 2, 3, and 4, the major services, right? So you have the $12 a month gets you your computer enrolled in ITHive.org and gives you overall health management and monitoring of your computer, so we know if things are going to break. Add to that $5 a month, and so we're up to $17. You get antivirus software that will always be working for you, no matter what you throw at it, right? And if it's not, we're giving you a call to fix it in real time, so a problem doesn't get worse and worse. And then thirdly, backup, right? As a cornerstone, a fail-safe of everything else, right? Protect the data. And really, with those three things, that's what we're really focused on here in ITHive.org, is making sure those three, from a technical perspective, those three things are always firing for you and always working. So you can use a computer with confidence, and that you have no worries and no issues, and you know where to go if you have a question or a problem or anything like that. The other element, I guess, to this, and that there's no real service charge for this, but other than time, right? Everything we do with our clients is heavily focused on education. So if there's an opportunity for a client to learn something that will prevent a situation from occurring again, we take the time to do that, right? Yes, the client's paying for that, but in the long run, it's better for the client, because we're teaching them to be self-secure, we're teaching them to be independent, we're teaching them a little bit more about technology so that they cannot be caught in these traps. And we feel very strongly about that. We actually measure the amount of time we spend with clients, and if it's going up, we're then, you know, we have to understand why that is, right? If it's going down, that is a favorable trend, because then we know that what we're doing with the client is having benefit, and that they are becoming more, their environment's becoming more stabilized, the client themselves becoming more confident. So we're seeing less problems. And with all our clients that we've had on board for over a year or so, that's definitely what happens in most cases. Not in all cases. Some are varying degrees of challenges, but you know, we work with where the client's at, and you know, a slow process to gear them into a world where they're going to be more confident, more pleased and happy with their technology, and yeah, and it's working for them, instead of it's not a frustration in life, right? It shouldn't be, right? You know. So anyway, I think that's it for today. You know, back's much better this week, so you know, we are doing a little bit longer. I don't want to do these very long. I'm hoping at one point in time we get to a place where we're doing some more question and answer stuff. I have to work on that. One thing I do want to mention is that, unfortunately, for some reason, I haven't been able to figure this out, but we used to have our business out in the west side of Canada. Now we've moved back to Ontario on the east side, so 2-hour time difference. No matter what I do with Facebook in our Facebook page, it insists that we are still out west, even though I've given it a new address and all that stuff. I haven't found the settings. I've gone over and over and over it, and of course, because Facebook is a free service, who do you call? So I got to be honest, I haven't done a lot of research on that, but I will. So the issue that I'm bringing up here is that what will happen, you know, an hour and 40 minutes ago, is all of a sudden people get notifications that I'm going live with this event, when it's already happened 2 hours past. So I do apologize for that. I hope that we can resolve that in the near future. It's on my whiteboard here to have it looked at and see if we can figure out what's going on there. But yeah, little glitch in the software. Looks like a little glitch on Facebook's side there. So anyway, we'll talk to you later. Just stay tuned. You know, next week we'll be back, episode 5, I guess it will be. And we're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about? I don't know yet. So it'll be a surprise. We'll figure it out. I usually try and, you know, at this point in time, I think we're going to gear these things to, I'll start the discussion about something that's been going on, you know, something I see out there, or a particular scenario that, you know, I ran into, and the pitfalls or lessons around that. We'll do that kind of thing. Okay, so anyway, have a good weekend. Thanks for watching. You know, everybody else says like my page and all that stuff. So anyway, I won't go on to all that. If you like ITHive.org, contact us, become a customer, right? That's what we'd like you to do. And when you're a customer, spread the word. Okay. All right. We'll talk to you later. Have a good weekend.